Should we move on to undulating periodization?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we talking daily undulating periodization, weekly, bi-weekly,
Let's just put it all. Yeah, let's just put it all there, right? So this would be non-linear periodization or undulating periodization. This is usually like, just think of like, West Side.
Yep.
Right? Like what those guys do and what Louis, made his name doing, and having different intentions on different days of the week. So you're not truly in an accumulation phase. You're doing like, rep method on Monday. So you're focusing on hypertrophy on Monday, and then on Wednesday you're focusing on power, and then on Wednesday max. You know what I mean? Like you're doing multiple things throughout the week. So when we look at like daily undulating periodization, we're talking about that. We're talking about like weekly. We're talking about like this week we're doing this, that week we're doing this week.
Like a Wendler or something for weekly?
Yeah. So, that would be that. And it's funny because we call it non-linear periodization, but when you actually look at the programs and what's happening inside of it, there tends to be a natural linear periodization that happens. Let's say that Monday is my max, like I'm going to do a maximum effort upper day on Monday, right? Naturally, when I go from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4, in exercise selection, there's some thoughts of like, how much load am I pushing week over week if we're like calculating tonnage and all of that stuff. So, for example, let's say that, Monday this week and we're just focusing on the pull. Like Monday, I want to do a maximum effort pull activity. So I'm going to do a pronated strict pull-up. And let's say that I'm stronger, supinated. Next week, naturally, I'd be like, man, I want to do a little bit more weight, right? So I'm going to make it a supinated, weighted, strict pull-up. So, whereas this week I hit 120 pounds, next week I'm going to hit 130 pounds. It's like, what does that start to look like? That starts to look like linear periodization. And I'm not saying that's the case with absolutely every, undulating model, but you see that very frequently when you look at programs. And
as you extend it out as well, the next time you return to that strict pronated pull-up, you're probably going to try and do a little bit more weight than you did the time prior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's important that they differentiate it from linear periodization because you have to think about it a lot differently, right? You're thinking about, what is my goal for this cycle? Because there's always goals of the cycle, right? Like those guys aren't just going in there and doing random stuff. If the goal is to increase the bench press specifically, that undulating program is going to be built in a way that they ensure the bench press goes up when they retest the bench press at their next powerlifting meet. So yeah, there's some linear ideals in there, but it just doesn't look like your classic, like, we're staying in this phase, we're in accumulation, we're doing this for 8 weeks, and that, you know what I mean? It's just more, it's more dynamic, which is, more, it's a better idea for a more advanced trainee. It's a better idea for someone that has multiple, like, sporadic competitions throughout the year.
Yep.
It's ideal for someone that's, that has a very long and extended in-season. So, you play a sport and your season is 16 weeks. It's like you're probably not going to do a 4-week phase of accumulation on the front end of your season and then deload and then do it again. Like, that just doesn't make sense. So it's good to keep readiness at a fairly high level throughout the year.
Yeah. On the con side, for a novice trainee, they might look at that and be like, I don't really know what to do with this. Mm-hmm. They probably aren't able to create like a strength endurance or max contraction that they need to get that like tough dose one day, easier dose on Friday. Mm-hmm. What other negatives would you say?
Gosh, I mean, there's a lot of negatives in any program, right? But it's someone's inability to adapt to the work that they're doing, right? So if someone needs to learn how to lift weights like this, it's probably not a great program for that person because it's so sporadic, right? Like once they're feeling good on like their rep day, they're like, okay, I'm getting into the groove, and then they're asked to do something like really fast and dynamic the next day, and they're like, oh shit, like I can't do this. So it's like inabilities to do something, or for someone that needs a lot of very specific work, to get better at that thing, they're not going to get it in this method because it's just that it's too sporadic for them.
It can be beneficial to help manage fatigue over time as someone gets more intermediate advanced as well, correct? Or not?
I wouldn't say manage fatigue, no.
Okay.
Just because when we start to look at recovery, right, and it's like when our bodies are at the highest state of recovery or being able to recover from work, it comes through our bodies being able to predict and adapt to what's happening. Because a nonlinear program is so sporadic, like I said, you're dosing it with different things day over day. So it's like day one, I'm like just fatiguing mechanically, right? Like I'm so beat up mechanically. And then day 3, I come and then I'm like fatiguing the CNS because I'm working on dynamic, high power output stuff. And then on day 4, I'm hitting a max effort, and my body's like, I don't know what to adapt to or to recover from, right? So I think that would be a con, being able to recover from that work, because a pro would be for people that need different stimuluses throughout the week to like kick their body into a quicker adaptation mode. This model would give them that. So yeah, just recovering from these sessions would be more challenging for people.
Anything else on undulating periodization?
No, I did it a lot. I used to do this. Yeah, I used to do undulating a ton. I worked with Joe DeFranco for a while, and it was like his go-to. So we did a lot of this stuff back in the football days, and I always felt like I was training for entertainment. I don't know if that makes sense, but it almost looked like it was almost like because every day was so different and not as predictable, I was never able to like find a groove. Every day was so different that it was like, I don't know, like even remembering those training sessions, it seemed like every week was like a new training program, which was, yeah, I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of it.
You could use undulating method and keep exercises the same though, correct? And just be manipulating reps and volume and intensity.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.